line.
Okay.
What's his GPA?
We're working on that. Right now, it's a little bit over 3.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What you want to do,
I
though?
I consider over 3 is, you know, when I was going to school, that's an A student.
Is he ever found another job? So
I
Rick?
don't know, I haven't heard. I don't get to see her much anymore since they moved us out in the portable.
He has time, in the spring, sometime.
Well, I'm gonna play a lot more golf this
And
year.
the only time when I see her, I usually ask her about Lily, the grandbaby, and we talk about her, and that's about it.
Yeah.
This is the deal. You pay at least $35. You want to pay that? I'll take that.
Anniversary of my birthday party,
Already decided that.
that's the first time
I have to get 2 holes at one to be
I
wrong.
mean, you do like 2 groups.
I've been through.
You got,
Son graduating, and both with boys graduating, so.
You're in charge of the photo.
Doctor. Yeah, I think I put it in my bag.
when are you told?
Tomorrow, flight is.
Picture of this, 'cause I don't know when I'm at town again, so you better.
From Ireland.
Yeah, you can't.
My daughter was like,
Well, the chicken sandwich, you do the chicken.
Weather came in.
Oh, it's a learning. So did you go tuition free?
Not tuition free, but
well,
my father went to Howard and worked in it. He was the university architect, so as I was getting ready to go to school, you know, I got into Middlebury, which is, college up in Vermont, but very expensive, so I get this letter, I come running in, and say, hey, Dad, I'm going to Middlebury. He said, well, look, if you're paying for it, you're going to Middlebury. If I'm paying for it, you're going to Howard University because
The main part, yeah.
I just got there about 10 hours.
He's just, what have you.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Gotcha. How's Dallas?
What do you mean?
The salad is actually pretty good.
I'll tell you what, I'll call you in a second.
I don't care boots that I really like, but I wear them. You know,
My pleasure, sir.
You never know what kind of tweet.
Let's see what the wheels fit.
Everybody needs something somewhere, and so that's what we're doing. But it's hard. We started out in the loyalty business, fraction, and then when you work it, probably we had to get out. I think so. She yes, her husband's an attorney. Yes, I met them at working in a practice.
what's the whole spectrum what all
That's more like.
I graduated in 1991.
that's a big thing. Great. Should we be coming in?
Now, next time we will move.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Doing okay?
Very well.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Debbie Denton. I'm your hometown girl in Texas. And I know there are some people who are transplants who are here, but I used to anchor the news at WFA Channel 8 for about 13 years. And then after that, people were like, where'd you go? And then I worked as Director of Communications for District Attorney Craig Watkins for 3 years. He was known for the exonerations of freeing wrongly convicted people. Started the first conviction integrity unit and it went all around the nation and the world. That was very interesting. And then he lost his race and I was like, things that make you go, what do I do next? So my husband and I, Richard Greger, he's not here tonight, he's home with our little one, but we started our own business. So we have Greger Transport LLC, a small logistics company. So I do this for all entrepreneurs because it is hard, but we've been in business for 2 years, and thank you very much, 2 years. I'm kind of like safe and structured, and my husband's like, more streams of income. And so we're honored to be here. My cousin Reggie Hill, I don't know where he is, but are you in the back? Hey, Reggie Hill. Okay, he's the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce, and he asked me to come and MC tonight, so I'm very honored to be here. I'm a newbie as far as a business owner. Reggie Hill, as you know, and my Uncle Fred Hill, who passed away, they were very instrumental in getting that mindset that you've got to create your own wealth. So that way I won't have to call him up and borrow money all the time. Not really. But I live in Dallas, and I've been there since 2000 because it was close to the Keller Studios. But I've seen some familiar faces, I went to Strickland Junior High people, and I just saw you over there. Okay, I'm a Strickland Junior High. No offense to Calhoun, and I know now we have a plethora of those middle schools. And Denton High, Denton High, what are those in here? Okay, Denton High in the house. Yes, Mayor, I'm going to introduce you now. Okay. That brings me to Mayor Chris Watts. He is currently the second term as mayor after serving 3 terms as city councilman. Mayor Watts is a Denton High School graduate. I'm happy to see it. Also a graduate from the University of North Texas, like myself. I just met the dean of journalism over here. Shout out to journalism over here. This is bland. But Mayor Watts, he also received his master's in computer science and a master's degree in education counseling and student services. Mayor Watts made a career change to a real estate investor and broker, and later attended Texas Wesleyan University, which is now Texas A&M Law School. Mayor Watts is a great friend of business, industry, community, and labors tirelessly to keep Denton as a shining star in North Texas. So let's welcome the mayor, come on up and get through.
Thank y'all. What a great introduction. I obviously didn't write that, but they give me too much credit. Well, thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure for me to come and share this evening with you guys tonight. Really appreciate it. This is the 20th banquet for the Black Chamber of Commerce, so congratulations to them on 20 years. And it's their 22nd year. And they just completed their Entrepreneur Weekend this week, I think Friday and Saturday, and look forward to other training sessions throughout the year that they sponsor. So thank you so much for doing that. And also want to thank you for your participation in the Economic Development Partnership Board. You became members a couple of years ago. That board had representation on that board, and thank you so much for the contributions that you made for the decisions and the input as we try to bring new businesses to Denton. So thank you all very much, and just enjoy the evening tonight. Thank you.
Okay, y'all take a look at these shoes because they're probably going to come off in about 5 minutes. Buddy Bell is here. He is the first cousin of one of the chamber board members, Connie Baker. And when preparing the banquet program, the question came up about who could pray and do benediction, and board member Baker said, "I'll get my cousin," kind of like Reggie Eaton. I'll get my cousin. Okay. So we'll bring up Pastor Bell. He is the pastor of Gateway Baptist Church, and let's just have a time of prayer and celebration and reflection tonight. So Pastor Bell, if you can come over and please do the invocation, and then we'll proceed. There you go, right over here. Okay. Oh, God, Betty Owens. Oh, okay, it changed. You see, people can tell me. How are you, Mr. Owens? Would you like to tell something about me? Okay. What would you like me to share? Well, I have the wrong person, obviously, to give the invitation, but tell folks where your church is and just a little bit about their speakers.
I would say, first of all, I'm honored to be here, and I'm thanking God. 76 years, veteran of Denton County, born and raised, every May. It is an honor to be here. I was raised in the, obviously, Denton County, if you all know that, thus far. And I pastor small churches for the last 55 years. And have been in the construction business basically most of that time. And at the current time, I am pastor of the Gateway Baptist Church, which one time was Bell Avenue Methodist Church. And they gave that property to my mission church, Gateway. That's what we are today. And I thank God for every minute that I've had in this world, every person that's been a part of my life. And I thank you for allowing me to be here tonight to share with you. Somebody said, what about, we've already decided, and I said, well, we're just praying for what we're about to receive and all that's within us. Would you join me? Father, we want to thank you, first of all, that we have the privilege of being your children. And we thank you that the invitation is open to every soul that's ever been born in this world, no matter who, what, where, why. And we ask you tonight to bless us as we fellowship together. We would ask the Lord God to teach us how to do the things in this world that would make you happy, just like you taught us. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on this earth the way it is in heaven. Teach us that. And speak to our hearts, Father, every day as we take care of those things you apportion to us, no matter who we are, in this world of yours. And help us to remember that it is your world. We thank you for every soul that is here tonight. Very special individuals that you made. You invented us. You programmed us. Lord, help us to stay with us. But give us greater insight into your will to take care of the business of this world, Father, and also to take care of the business of the kingdom in your church. Thank you tonight for the food you've given us so abundantly, Father, better than any place in the world. And we thank you for letting us live at this particular time in history, the greatest time the world has ever known. Protect our hearts from Satan. By your instruction, we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Now we'll enjoy some music from Don Bell and Denton.
Thank you.
with the ISD, and the board decided that she should not simply just reside behind the scenes, but she should talk about the host and the guests and the officials. I just met her, I've loved her lovely spirit, so come on up, Torrance Baker.
First of all, I'd like to thank our host, Denton. We are so glad to be coming out here and be with us. And our guest speaker, William Michael Cunningham. Thank you so much for coming out and being here tonight. Mayor Chris Watts. You'll stand, please. Yeah, thank you. We have the councilman there. Had a custody, but I don't know if they made it or not. Any of our council people right out there? Okay, thank you. Catherine Bell, thank you so much for being here tonight, Catherine. We've got a new elementary school name for Ms. Bell. We have the founder of the Black Film Fest. We have Ms. Denton here. Charles O'Neill, the State of Texas Association of African American Chamber of Commerce. The Minority Opportunities Officer for NCTA. Sorry, we didn't see your name. If you'll come stand there and hear him over here. Thank you so much for being here. And my friends of the Denton ISD School Board. Officials that are here that I did not see or notice. Anybody? No? Okay, well, we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It's just been a glorious evening, and again, we appreciate everybody for being here, and thank you, John Baines, for getting all this together. We had a lot of fun at our meetings.
Thank you, Torrance. Now, Mr. Charles O'Neill, which is waiting just a moment ago. He is currently the Chief Executive of Strategic, a consultancy and advisory firm, providing advisory services to chambers of commerce and businesses throughout the state of Texas. Mr. O'Neill has had a long and prosperous career in the newspaper business and with the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce in a variety of challenging and leadership roles. In fact, I have interviewed Mr. O'Neill, but I've worked at Channel 8 a number of times. He's all over Dallas, trust me. In his current role, he leads the Texas Association of African American Chambers of Commerce in his quest to ensure that African American owned businesses have a seat at the table where decisions are being made, and they have a chance to participate in the financial prosperity of the great state of Texas. So please help me welcome Dr. Charles O'Neill. He's also the mom of the University of North Texas and an
For some reason, the John Baines came over and said, "Now, Charles, you got this amount of time." I don't know why you were trying to cut me off.
You know what?
It's such a pleasure to be here. It is not just a pleasure, but an honor to be included in this activity. Carrie and Reggie, and John, and the rest of the Denton Black Chamber team, thank you so much for this culminating event of your entrepreneurial weekend. It's that kind of innovation and the approach to the business that we do as chambers of commerce that will yield results. And so you're to be commended for this new program that you've added to your program offerings for your chamber. And as they mentioned, as was mentioned, I do have the honor of being the president of the Texas Association of African American Chambers of Commerce. There are 22 black chambers across our state, from the Panhandle to the Gulf Coast to the Piney Woods in East Texas to Central Texas, 6 here in North Texas. I like to hasten in events like this, and I get to do them, and not just here, and do serve on the board of the U.S. Black Chamber, so I get to see these kind of events on a regular basis, and I hasten to remind people that despite how fun this is and how enjoyable it is to be in settings like this is not what chambers do. And the hard work that we do, particularly the hard work that Black Chamber of Commerce do, when you have a state as dynamic and economically hypercharged as the state of Texas. Our state budget 2 years ago was about $18.8 billion. And the state of Texas spent 1.22% of that with Black-owned businesses. Black-owned businesses make up about 10% of the state's entire universe of businesses in the state, and Texas has the fastest growing Black population among the 50 states. So there's a big giant gap between the realities of what our state looks like, the changing demography of our state, and what the economic benefits of that. So we're 50% of the population. Black folks contribute an equitable share, a pro rata share to the state's treasury, but our return on our taxpayer investment is shrinking. That's a problem. I spoke with Mayor Watt and a couple of gentlemen about the Texas legislature, which is in session now, and you know that's entertaining always. But the work that we have to do on a regular basis, interacting with Governor Abbott, others from the executive staff, and legislators to attract attention to this, what we believe is a quality of life issue. When Black businesses are prosperous and profitable, Black communities improve. When Black communities improve, educational attainment is increased. We like to think, and then I go back real quickly, as I mentioned, we're on the board of the U.S. Black Chamber, and there are about 2.3 million Black-owned businesses in the nation. If Black-owned businesses were able to earn enough money to hire one employee, wipe out Black unemployment in the nation. That's how critical it is. And so while we have festive events like this, it's fun as a demarcation of the work that we have done in the past, but it's also an opportunity for us to recognize how much more work we have to do as organizations like this. So I commend all of you for the support that you give to this organization, the vital role that it plays in not just Denton, but in North Texas. It is truly an important asset to your community, and we thank you for your support. Now I get to go sit down real fast. The good part of my job here this evening is to introduce the keynote speaker for the evening. And this one is really easy to do. Over the last 4 years, not only have I grown to know William Michael Cunningham, but I have grown to respect and admire him. Brilliant man is all I can really say. Don't let that Clark Kent facade fool you when he gets up here. He is literally a magician of an economist. I met him, he presented at our School of Chamber Management at the U.S. Black Chamber about 4 years ago. I listened to him, and we talked by phone a couple times. I said, well, why don't you come down to Texas and let us see what you can do? Well, he showed us what he could do, and he's been back every year since then to our annual conference held in Austin every year. So I think he was here the year before last, I think it was. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And I won't have to do it this time since you've seen him before, but I'll say, y'all know y'all ain't never seen a Black economist before. It's a real living, breathing example that really fantastic thing goes on. And he's a graduate of Howard University and University of Chicago. And you know the mascot of the University of Chicago is smart. Okay. So without further ado, I'd like to bring William Michael Cunningham, my friend, the author of the Bible on equity crowdfunding, wrote an important section of President Obama's Jobs Act. Without further ado, William Michael Cunningham.
But I am delighted to be back here with you all again. I was down here in 2014 and was able to basically see a part of this community. Now, one of the things I'll say, now I'm going to turn this microphone on, but I actually have a pretty loud voice. This is a pretty, so, you know, we can kind of, I'll work with this. One of the things about this community is that it is unique. I said that the last time I was down here. Every point of data confirms that, especially in the current environment. Now, I'm not going to get super political. I will get a little political, you know, but I'm not going to get super political. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do, as I did in 2014, outline the economic forecast for Denton, for Dallas-Fort Worth, for Texas, and for the U.S. Before I do that, though, this is the most recent edition of the book I wrote on crowdfunding, the Jobs Act crowdfunding. How many people have heard of Indiegogo, Kickstarter? Indiegogo, Kickstarter. That's more than raised their hands in 2012 when I was down here, last time I was here. So you know that crowdfunding is a way that you can raise money online for people, projects, and products. Now, again, this is the most recent book that I've written, and I wanted to, before I get started also, let me thank the staff, let me thank the students, thank you very much. You know, everybody, yes, please, please, I'm going to give you this book, okay? Wow. Oh, you're quite welcome. There you go. So again, as I mentioned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the background of kind of where we are right now. We're going to go over some of the data from the 2014 forecast. Thank you. You know, it's just, that's one of the great things about being down here again. I get to go back, and y'all get to go back to 2014 and look to see if what I said was accurate. Now, let me let you in on a little secret here. It was. It was, you know. So, of course, I'm going to say that because I'm also going to say that I am the best economic forecaster in the United States of America right now. Right. That's a pretty bold statement, right? But I'm going to back that up. It's like Muhammad Ali, one of my heroes, one of my absolute heroes. He could talk all kinds of crap, but he can back it up. So hopefully I'm going to be able to do that here also. So let us get started here. Oh, and let me also thank the tech guys. Tech guys, you guys want to come out for my thing? Hey, wave to us. All right, thank you. All right, so background. Where did I come from? Well, what do we? I'll just say next slide. Next slide, please. There we go, all right. So where did I come from? Everybody is African. Everybody. If you're a Homo sapien, you came from that continent where the red box is. It's important to place everything in context. Race, and this is the Denton Black Chamber, but race, you must understand, is a social construct. It does not exist scientifically. This is what we've learned from the DNA research. This is what we've learned. Now that is actually great news. That means that all of the talk, all of the drama around race is false. It just basically is. Everybody, every Homo sapien alive that has ever lived is African. Okay? So that's where I came from. Now next slide, please. I'll try this. There we go. All right. So this is me and Oprah. This is me and Oprah. This is a new picture. Last time I was here, I did not have this picture of me and Oprah. Now what happened was, I was trying to sell her a copy of the book. I was trying to get her, this is my first book. I was trying to get her to put my first book on her book list. Because if you get your book on Oprah's book list, right? So what I did, somebody bought the book, and they said, hey, I know Oprah. I really think you should meet Oprah and talk to her about this book. So they arranged a meeting. They arranged a meeting for me with Oprah. And I'm taking this picture. What I tried to do was hold the book up like this. She did like this. Right? Which is cool. I ain't mad at her. She said basically, look, I haven't read the book. I haven't read the book. If you hold it up like that, it looks like an endorsement. And I'm not ready to give an endorsement of your book until I read it.
So that was kind of a funny story. Now, my background, as Charles mentioned, I'm on the faculty part-time at Georgetown University. I have 2 degrees from the University of Chicago, an MBA in finance and a master's in economics. I did my undergraduate work at Howard University. That all is unimportant because basically I'm going to talk about the track record, why I say I'm the best economic forecaster in the country, and how I can back that up. 1997, I sued the Federal Reserve Board to try to block a merger and try to block the relaxation of a law called Glass-Steagall, which separated investment banks from commercial banks. If you look at my legal brief, and I'm not a lawyer, I just play one, I'm not a lawyer, but if you look at it, one of the things I said was my economic models show that if you get rid of this law 10 years from today, you will have the worst financial crisis you've ever had. Now, the way I was able to make that forecast is because I recognize that ethical standards of behavior are critical. Ethical standards of behavior were followed. And basically what happens is people get, and large financial institutions get so greedy that they basically break every rule, every ethical rule in the book. And that's a key part of our economic forecasting models. Now, in 2000, I testified in front of the U.S. Congress and warned them that there were problems, ethical problems at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. How did I know that? I knew that from our models from 1997. It was pretty clear. They got rid of that law. We said that ethical standards were going to decline. We started to see that show up first at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac because they were so big, there was so much money at stake. That's the first place you go in order to really rip people off because housing is so important to the country. So we said that then, and then in 2003, our economic models continued to give us warning signs. So one of the things you can do, and I encourage everybody to do this, you can comment on federal rules and regulations. You don't have to be an expert, all you have to be is a citizen, and you don't even have to be that. You go to the SEC's website and look at, or FTC, or anybody, any of the federal agency websites, and look at the rules that they are proposing. There is a very good way for you to comment on those rules. And that's something that we took advantage of long before a lot of other people took advantage of it. We went to the SEC, they were considering certain rules, and we said, hey, look, our economic models are showing that a crisis is coming. We know that it's coming based on our forecast from 1997, our forecast from 2000, and basically we have not seen a restoration of ethical standards of behavior in the financial marketplace. Because we haven't seen that restoration, we know that there's going to be a crisis. It just fits from a modeling perspective. And then, finally, June 11, 2016, we predicted that Donald Trump would win the presidency of the U.S. Same modeling, forecasting, methodology, and method. The exact same one. And what makes us so different, what makes this economic modeling structure so different, is that it hews to the truth. The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And the problem with the large financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, do their economic models hew to the truth? No. They shade their economic forecast for the benefit of the corporation so that they can make more money. This is really easy to do. This is it's not as complicated as you think. This is all you have to do is make sure that you keep the public interest in mind when you're doing these economic forecasts. So that's a little bit of my background. Again, June 11, 2016. Our 2016 election fully adjusted returns forecast indicates that Donald J. Trump will win the election for the presidency of the United States. This is on LinkedIn. If you look at my LinkedIn profile and go to the articles that I've written, you will see this article from June 11, 2016. I'm not making this stuff up, okay? And it is really easy to do, as I mentioned, because we're looking at the real factors. We know that race is a fiction. But we also know that nobody else knows that, right? From a policy perspective, the country acts as if race is a real fact. And it's easy to understand why. To understand that, you have to go at a very micro level, DNA, and then you have to go to a very macro level. Think about when people used to think that the earth was flat. That's actually a pretty good approximation of reality as you see it. You walk out your door every morning, the earth looks flat. It does. It's only when you go into space and look back down on the planet that you understand that it is actually round. So it is with race. It's only when you go to a microscopic level that you understand that race doesn't exist. So we factor those we factor those perceptions into our fully adjusted return forecasting methodology. All right, so that's a little background now. Let's go to, I think we've got a video here from the last time I was here. Next slide, please. All right, if we could play that movie, please, real quickly. This is why I wanted to give a shout out to the guys in the back, because they play a critical role here. So if you guys, let's see, there we go.
Now, the reason construction is increasing is because interest rates are low, inflation is low, and the housing market is insurance, healthcare, social security, education is another industry that's going to grow in it. And then real estate, housing market like that, so employment and real estate is going to go up.
You might want to turn it up a little bit better.
Focus on construction, healthcare, education, and real estate.
This is 2014. This is what I'm telling you.
From African Americans. So we have a division in information technology that is beginning that we're not really cognizant.
So what I just said was that our performance in IT had been hit.
Identify specific public sector opportunities. And use so many indicators of the money wants to use new information tools to lower the cost of doing something. Twitter. Now, what else is doing now? Well, the American world, but also our non-African allies. Look, y'all can't really. Now, here's what Rebecca said. I promise I will tell you what a Nobel Prize in economics said when I told him that I was going to be able to talk to New Orleans and then to talk to black companies. And I was concerned about the economic situation with respect to black companies. He said, the opposite.
All right, so that was the 2014 economic forecast that I gave in this very room. And what you saw was I said construction, I said healthcare, I said IT. All of those things turned out to be industries that did very, very well in the Denton, Fort Worth, Dallas triangle, right? Especially construction. I ended with a slide from my thesis advisor at the University of Chicago, a guy named Gary Becker, who won the Nobel Prize for economics, I think in 1998 or something. When I told him I was coming down here in 2014 to talk to you all, he said, be optimistic. My message to you tonight is that message no longer holds. Okay? All right? Not quite as optimistic today as I was in 2014, and I will explain why. All right, so let's go into the forecast. Next slide, and next slide. There we go. Okay, all right. Before we do so, though, I want to contrast where you guys are with Houston. I was in Houston about 2 weeks ago, and I gave an economic forecasting talk there. I was struck by the difference between Houston and Denton and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I thought it made sense to take a look at the differences in the economics of those two areas. This is Houston. Now, the orange bars represent the employment sectors that are the highest. So as those bars increase, these sectors grow in importance. So from mining and lodging, 3% of employment in Houston, to trade, transportation, and utilities, 21% of employment in Houston. What I want to point your attention to, basically, this scale on this side represents the orange bars. This scale on this side represents the blue bars. Okay? So I'll walk down here, go over that for the people on this side of the room. The orange bars are basically on the right scale, and the blue line is on the left scale. And basically what this is showing is that
been falling in certain sectors. The black line represents 0 from the left scale percent. And that means that employment growth for the blue line, when it's below the black line, is negative. Everybody got that? Yep. Blue line below the black line, negative employment growth in those sectors, in those industries. The key thing to keep in mind here is that some of that negative growth is in some of the more important employment sectors in Houston, right? That negativity is all on this side. Well, this is where the jobs are. So that's important to keep in mind. Next slide, please. And we're going to contrast that with what's going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth/Denton area. And this is it. The black line, again, represents 0. Anything below the black line represents negative growth from an employment perspective. What do you notice here?
0 negative.
Everything's above the 0 line. This is your area. This is fantastic. This is one of the best. If you go through the numbers nationwide, what you'll find is that this is one of the best employment profiles that you'll see. Everything's above the negative line. That is outstanding. And the growth that you're seeing in some of the bigger industry sectors, some of the bigger employment sectors, is very good. It's very good. The fact that construction, not one of the biggest ones, the construction right here, employment growth in Dallas-Fort Worth, 4.4% in 2016. That is fantastic. You're just not seeing that in other parts of the country. Just not seeing it. Houston, the chart that I just showed, if you look at that chart, you would see that construction employment is falling. It's negative. Okay? For some wacky reason, y'all down here are doing very well. I don't know why is that. Anybody, any ideas? We can make this interactive. You know, I have the mic, but really, I'm kind of interested in your opinion. Any ideas as to why that is?
35.
DFW Airport. DFW Airport. That's great. That's great insight. That's the kind of thing that I'm not going to know looking at the macro numbers up in Washington, D.C. I'm just not going to know that. So that's important. That has certain implications from the standpoint of African American businesses in Denton and in Dallas-Fort Worth. It's a leading indicator as to where you should be putting your time and effort. Here's the other leading indicator. One of the things to note are the big areas that are growing across sectors. So one of the areas that is growing is healthcare. The aging of the baby boom population. There's a growing demand for healthcare services. And we have not, across the board, Houston and Dallas-Fort Worth and Denton. So that's another area where it might make some sense for you to focus your business development efforts from the standpoint of the Black Chamber. My opinion, as an outside data analyst, just my opinion, okay? So those are some of the things. I wanted to run that comparison really quickly. And then next slide, please. The 2017 forecast for Denton. All right, we're going to the next slide. All right, so here it is. I know you can't see this, but I will go through some of the numbers. We'll also make these slides available. John, yeah, we'll make these slides. Email John, email me. You know, we'll make sure that we get these slides to you. The bottom line is this for Denton. Your employment picture is very good. We see employment going from 2016, 68,467 to 71,802 by 2021. Okay? So steady employment growth. You know? Here's the other thing to keep in mind. All of this goes out the window. This forecast goes out the window if we get a major financial or economic crisis caused by, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? The same guy that just sent out some tweet today, right? Some craziness today, you know? And the issue is this. Our forecast is that the markets and the economy are going to do very well for 2017. The markets are already, S&P 500 up 25% in 2016. We think that growth will continue. What I'm telling my clients is invest in the Vanguard S&P 500 stock index portfolio.
All right? Invest in that. If you got any spare cash, $1,000, $2,000, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Put some money into the stock market right now. But here's the kicker. When that market turns around, it's going to turn around very quickly, and it's going to be a very violent move to the downside. Quick and violent. Bam! That's what's going to happen. And it's probably going to be because some idiot sends a tweet out to somebody, right? You can't make this stuff up, man. You really can't. But you understand what I mean? There's something like that, an overreach, a policy mistake, an error, which will impact the markets negatively. For right now, for the foreseeable future, for the next 12 months, I'd say 10 to 12 months, I think you're okay. I think the markets are actually going to do relatively well, okay? And I'm going to come back to that in terms of what we think is one of the key economic development tools that you can use in Denton to support African American business. What we think is that you have an opportunity to create another Black Wall Street. That's actually what I think. We don't see this level of community support in other jurisdictions. And I'm basing that on having been here in 2014 and seeing this room filled with African Americans and African American supporters and a community coming together. Let me tell you, rest of the country, not a lot of hugging going on. Right? A lot of separation. Y'all might be it. Hey, I'm telling you, y'all might be, this might be it. Okay? So just understand that. Now, in terms of some of the areas that are growing, it's all of the things that we said. Educational services, healthcare. We also see arts, entertainment, accommodation, food services. Actually not doing badly now. Not doing badly at all. So, again, we will make this table available to you. The bottom line is that we see employment growing in the Denton area between now and 2021. So, next slide, please. All right, the summary. I know I'm going to go through these. I know I should have increased the font, but that's all right. The summary. Where are we? What do we think? Well, the initial impact. Markets and economic activity will increase over the next 6 to 12 months. This is due to the impact of relaxing partisan restrictions on fiscal policy. Deficits will increase. But that won't matter over the short term. Big businesses will do well, freed from regulatory constraints, super big businesses. And I'm not talking, like statewide businesses. I'm talking global businesses. They are going to do very, very well. That's why the stock market is going to do well, at least initially, because they're going to be freed from every regulatory constraint that exists. That's good in the short term. We know in the long term that is fatal. It's fatal to an economy. We saw that in 2008. We saw that decline in ethical standards of behavior that this relaxation of regulatory constraints is going to support. But over the short term, things should do pretty well. Small businesses also should do relatively well, as long as you're not a threat to big businesses. As long as you're in your area, right? And you're not stepping on Walmart toes or GM toes or any of those big businesses' toes, you actually should do very well. Because economic optimism is at an all-time high. Economic activity is growing. And as I showed you the charts for Dallas versus Houston, especially here. Very interesting charts. Now, minority businesses, on the other hand, might suffer. Because part of what you're going to see with that relaxation of regulatory constraints is a relaxation in the need for large businesses to do business with minority businesses. They'll say, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We don't have any kind of regulatory constraints on us at all. So the last thing we have to worry about is somebody coming in and beating up on us for not doing business with African American businesses. This is bad news, but it's also good news, because you won't find out who your friends are. Right? The one thing that Donald Trump might do is he might bring all black people together. He might, you know, just because, you know, hey, it would be a net improvement. Just because we may not have a choice here. But from the economic forecasting perspective, that's what we see. When the regulatory constraints are removed, that has the potential to negatively impact African American business. Now, in terms of a minority business strategy, what we say is work across ethnic gender lines fast. Fast. I mean, like, real quick. You know? Because the thing to keep in mind is that nobody does well long term with a negative, hate-filled politics. Nobody. Certain groups might look like they're doing better than others, but you ask the people that were in Germany in 1939 who thought they were going to do well by beating up on certain sectors of the population, you ask those guys what happened, they all did bad. They were all worse off by 1945. All of them. That's the story to keep in mind. There are no winners with this kind of hate-filled strategy. No winners, long term. All right. So, and the political risk is extreme. Once again, I am not making this up. And this is why, you know, when I talked about Becker's optimism and why we had to make a change in that forecast, this is why. Because of the political risk. It's not y'all. Y'all are doing exactly what you should be doing. Focused on your business, focused on your communities, focused on your families, focused on your churches. That you're definitely not the problem. The problem is people who don't have any experience in managing the levers of government making a mistake. It's like a big battleship, right? You know, and somebody moves a lever and the damn thing sinks. Okay? You know, it doesn't sink right away, it sinks over time, but it's complicated. You have to know how to steer this thing. And that training takes years and years. You can ask the mayor. Where's the mayor? That training takes years and years and years, and you still might make a mistake. Okay? But it's complicated because it's based on people. You don't run an organization as large as the federal government as you would run a private sector business. It's the consensual nature out of the Quaker theology, all men created equal, 1776, that gave rise to the unique nature of the U.S. economy. But that consensus is very time-consuming. It's very frustrating. But you can't get around it. That's why we do as well as we do. It's tough. We're a family. We got fights. Some people are crazy. Some people are not. You know, I mean, you know that. But it is what it is. And you have to go through that process in order for the machine to work. And when you have people in power who don't understand that, or who think that they can pit one group against the other, eventually it's a real problem. Now, I'll close with this. I will close with this. Article 5 of the Constitution controls the way that you make changes to the Constitution. Article 5 of the Constitution controls the way that you make changes to the Constitution. If the current people in power touch Article 5, I expect to see each and every one of you in Washington, D.C. And bring your gun. Because I know you got it, number one. I am objecting to that goal. And number two, because that is the critical plan. And the reason I say that, our economic models look, as I said, at the truth and look at what's going on. When Vladimir Putin became premier of Russia the first time, remember, they had a constitution that was very much like ours. He was only supposed to serve 2 terms. What he did was, he went in and changed their version of Article 5 so that he could stay in as long as he wanted. We know that the current occupant of the White House looks at this guy as a model. That means that, from a political strategy perspective, he may try the same thing. He may try the same thing. I think it's crazy. I think he's crazy, you know. But he might try it. So if he does, that is the third rail of American politics, of the American constitutional system. From our economic perspective, we know what that means if he tries to go after Article 5 of the Constitution. And because because I just told you guys, you know too. All right? So I want to thank you all again for inviting me down here. I really, really am honored that I guess I didn't scare you off the first time. You invited me back. I think you have a unique community. I'm not just saying that. That's based on my experience going around the country and talking to various groups. There is something down here that you just don't find in other regions, other areas. It's that hard. It's the community. So I am honored that you all would invite me back. I'm around. Oh, by the way, I do have copies of the book for sale. I'll have them out in the lobby. Just saying. Brother's got to eat too. So once again, thank you, John. Thank you.
Michael William Cunningham, don't hold back next time.
Maybe something wrong.
I love it. I'll still laugh. That's great. But very inspiring. I was not good at economics, so before I invest any money, I might give you a call. I'm scared of the stock market. I'm real safe. Real safe. Well, let's keep the program moving here, and let's bring up Reggie Hill. He is currently the president of the Denton Black Chamber of Commerce, the former owner of the Lone Star Car Wash. I'm sure a lot of you went to the car wash, right? And how many went to the car wash? He's also my cousin, so I'm very honored to be here. And he is the son of business leaders and pioneers, the late Fred and Vicki Hill. My aunt, uncle, rest in peace. But to me, they were just such a vital part of this community. Invested in so many ways and helped so many African Americans with businesses. And so he's following in their footsteps. I want to bring you up, cousin, to talk and give your acknowledgments as well.
Right.
All I gotta say is, the speaker was dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great speaker. Well, I tell you. Give him another round of applause. And, I really appreciate our sponsorship. I hear myself pretty well. Sponsors have been helped us a lot. I'm really pleased with our sponsorship. You guys stuck with us and it's taken care of, whatever they say. And, we appreciate you guys. But I'm going to name all you guys. I'm going to name y'all in true fashion and in a positive fashion. And number one, UNT.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's my school. When they say we mean business, we mean business. And obviously, I give a little props, the tennis team, and when I was top 25, it's okay. Got looks good. And number two, Texas Women's University. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ranked the top 10 in the nation for diversity. Been doing that for years. I mean, TWU's been like that since I've been living in Denton since '75. I was in high school, and full of diversity. And it's continued that just like North Texas, same thing. Just postal great diversity. I mean, it's just been strong diversity. A lot of schools survive, even today. Number 3. DACU, Denton Area Teachers Credit Union. They're about commerce, and they've done well for us. They're truly about commerce. Really proud of them. Done well for us, and I appreciate you guys. Number 4, John Baines. John Baines. John Baines.
great organization, excellent work in CP. You guys coming in, you do a great service, great staff, nice people. Number 5, North Central Texas College.
Oh, yeah.
Great leadership. We're going overseas. Good friend, good ball buddy. From El Paso, my town before I moved here. Still love that city. Still love the city too. You know, we've come a long way. And North Central Texas College is a great college. You learn a trade at school like that. I've been preaching this for years. I tell every young person, if you want to learn a trade, go to your local community college and universities. This is when you're going to learn, guys. I'm telling you guys, man, this day, this climate, this business climate, you gotta learn a trade that means something. You gotta learn a trade, guys. I'm serious. You gotta learn something that means you can't just ambiguous type stuff. This is stuff that you gotta learn a trade. That's what big schools go to. Community colleges go to. Number 6, my Access Bank. Yeah, I bank.
All right.
Oh, yeah, my bank. Oh, yeah. Great bank, great community bank. Great place to go. Treat you nice, beautiful staff, all lovely staff. They treat you really well. Growing, doing well. Every bank been through adversity. 2008, most banks been through adversity. This bank pulled through, it's like, you know, like a strong bank should. And they done well. Continue. If y'all go, I know y'all happy. You should be happy. Number 7, Denton Black Film Festival. Oh, yeah. Now, this movie's done well. Oh, yeah. You know, they put out some really good films with learning tools, too. I mean, no, it's like playing words, too, but, you know. But you can learn from it. Great films the last few years. You can learn a lot. Just like you learned today through Dr. Cunningham. Good film. Film, you know, you learn about different cultures, different lives, and how people live, how they feel, how they understand. The founders of that organization is Harry Eady, a good friend of mine, a church friend of mine. Rochelle Johnson. Oh, yeah. She's good. Lisa George, all Lisa. Yeah. Very good job, you know. So I really appreciate the Black Film Festival. I know they have continued success. They should do well, and I know they will. So no problem there. Number 8. Denton Record Chronicle on the DRC or the DEC, you know, the Black, what y'all call it. Been sponsored for us for years. Done a great job, you know. Just good. Good news. You know, straight news. Unbiased. Like we see every day today. Good straight news. Good, great news. Great job. Number 9. Oh yeah, classic. I say classic. Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and I think Mazda. Oh yeah. Rick Wick. The manager, the main man, the man, my golf buddy. We're gonna play some golf soon, man. Oh, you great organization. I mean, great. I mean, they do a great job. They, you know, great place to buy cars, and you know, and they treat you very good customer service. They treat you well. Right. Problem, if you have a problem, don't have a problem, they take care of it anyway. I've seen that. I talk to people that shop there, bought cars out there. No problem. Not a problem. Continue. And number 10, oh yeah, James Woodall, another great organization. I see a few folks over there. I see about 3 guys over there I know. over there at the end. My main bill, my car wash, both you guys in one place. Floyd does too, used to go to my business. Very supportive people, very good work. They do a very good job, and their families. I appreciate you guys, what you've done for me personally and everything else. So, y'all do good work out there too, oh yeah. You know, we got great businesses around here. Y'all do good. I appreciate that. Number 11, Fisher distributorship, are they around? I'm not sure they're here or not, but they also a very good supportive organization for our group. They've done a lot of stuff for us, and I hope they continue to do so, which I know they will. They've done a really good job, and they're very supportive. Good beer. I do drink beer, yes. It's good beer. A good cold beer is all right. In moderation, it's all right. Number 12, First State Bank. First State Bank.
All right.
Not. Oh, yeah. Okay. Y'all too. I love you.
I don't work there. They've done great things for Fred Moore.
Okay, see, here you go. Did you hear that? I'm ready to Fred Moore, yeah. That's what we like, yeah. That's what the community bank's all about. Helping people in need. That's good. That's what we want. 13 is my boy, my main buddy. Oh yeah, category. ABC Incorporated, State Farm. There you go, Reed. Oh yeah, that's my main buddy. And he does a great job as always. I use him. I know a lot of y'all use him. Oh, yeah. I won't continue to use him. Whatever. And you know, State Farm's a great organization. They do good work. They're never late. They give you great advice. That's what we need. A company like that, a man represents you. Best job he can do. He can do it. And number 14, Steve Reinhardt. Well, Steve Reinhardt, oh yeah, other line. I think we all know about that. You probably see him on my Facebook page. He'll have a glass of wine in my hand. You know, Steve Reinhardt is a great place. You know, go good wine, go Steve's. Yeah, go Steve's. And number 15 would be the city of Denton. It's always ways to recycle. And they say they probably support our organization, Business Entrepreneurs Weekend. And they do. They've been doing it for years. That's what we love. Oh, we love that. That's great. And they will continue to do so. And I know that y'all do good work. Y'all people trash work. I no problem with y'all people about that. I got a problem. I don't complain. Y'all do a great job. Keep it clean. You've done good, punctual. Everything's great. So I commend y'all for helping us. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Last but not least, you got no such church college again, but we're just mentioning that again. I guess I can end with this though, no such Texas college again, but they say your success is our success. That's what the whole world needs. We need all of these to succeed. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Reggie. Now we're going to talk about the cross-cultural calendar. I'm going to bring up Mark Courts. He is a board member and owner of the Specialty Items businesses. After Mark relocated from Detroit years ago to Denton, Texas to be with family, he was immediately attracted to the Denton Black Chamber of Commerce. where he has been most useful in working with the website, membership, and other projects as needed. Very helpful. He is currently employed with the collaborative between the Texas Workforce Commission and the NCTC that focuses on job and retraining workers for future employment opportunities. So let's bring up Mark for us.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right, today we're going to talk about 2017 upcoming events. So if you turn to your program right after the reading from the mayor. For our 2017 coming events, we're going to have hub opportunities with UNT, TWU, City of Denton, Denton County, and DISD, Part 1, which is how to do purchasing. Next seminar will be hub opportunities with UNT, TWU, City of Denton, Denton County, and DISD, Part 2, writing winning proposals. Next seminar will be lunch with success with community leaders. Then we're going to have a forum for youth business forums. And in September, we're going to have our annual 2017 Taste of the Blues. Right after that, we'll have the September 15th through 17th Annual Blues Festival. And then in November, we'll have a Bring a Friend mixer. And then we'll finish up the year in December 2017 with the holiday cheer. So hopefully we'll see you all at some of our events. Thank you.
He coordinated this whole banquet. He's been so nice and gracious. Hey, I'll give him a round of applause. Entertainment was fantastic. So we're going to have John to come up next. And John, as you know, is one of the founding members of the Denton Black Chamber of Commerce. And John has been involved as a board member and advisor on many levels. I'm just going to read a few because he's done quite a bit. Just to name a few, he's been the former chairman of the Denton Black Chamber of Commerce, former chairman of the Texas Association of African American Chambers of Commerce, former chairman of the Denton County United Way, former chair of the Wife and Child Abuse Shelter, former board member of the Public Utility Board. You get the idea. And also John has owned his own CPA and consulting business for 32 years. That's outstanding. Bug. Is Alexander?
Would you stand up,
Alexander? Thank you so much. Come on up, John. You're the man of the hour. It's been a great event. I tell you.
Thank you, Debbie. I have two
young ladies, beautiful young ladies that have come to join me, Vanessa Ellison and Kayla Stewart. Would you give them a round of applause? We had 19 years of banquets. And earlier this year, we said, we can't continue to do the same thing and expect the same result. So I found some young people, okay? I reached out and I asked them to, there's also a young man. Now, are either of you over 30 yet?
No.
Young people. I'm over 30. But y'all do that. And so we decided to try and figure out what we could do to make things a little different. So before we get into all the specifics that we got into, we want to give a few acknowledgments from the stage, and then we're going to tell you about how we got to where we are today, and the process and some of the highlights from this weekend. And I'll let the ladies know. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to start by thanking all of our presenters from the Business Entrepreneurials Weekend yesterday and today, this morning. If you're here tonight, please stand so that we can acknowledge you. One of our panelists was Dr. Rahman from the TWU School of Business. I believe she's here tonight. Tracy Irby from NCTC Small Business Development Center. Obviously, Mr. William Cunningham is here tonight. Thank you so much. From the U.S. Black Chamber. Mr. Price Gorey is here tonight as well. Mr. Rick Hall from Credit Repair Specialists. Not here tonight. Mr. John Madsen from DACU was one of our panelists as well. Ms. Elena Leon from Access Capital Bank. Mr. Randy Robinson from Point Bank. Mr. Andrew Rice from Wells Fargo. And lastly, Mr. Jeremy Fikes from Guarantee Denton Bank, who is also the president at that bank. Thank you to all of our panelists for our Business Entrepreneurials Weekend, and I hope to share more information about that later.
Right now, we would like to thank all of the Banquet committee members. If you're on the committee, please stand. Please, please, please. Mr. Baines, of course. Mr. and Mrs. Baker. Carmen. Mark Rochelle, who's actually my intern, and he is so excited to be a part of this process.
Carmen, can you and Joe stand up, please? We're acknowledging you.
Carmen and Joe. Thank you. Mr. Mark Quartz, Bobby Gibbons, Terry Gordy, Robert Hicks, Reggie Hill, Ron Johnson, Caleb Lawrence, and of course, Kay. Thank you guys so much for coming to every meeting and putting in all of your time, all of your efforts, pulling resources, asking your family members, everyone that called a cousin or a friend. Thank you, it was greatly appreciated. And I would also like to take a few moments just to thank everyone that gave us in-kind donations or any kind of gifts, and that's going to be City of Denton Recycling, First United Bank, Moody Tavern, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, TWU School of Management, Steve's Wine Bar, UNT on the Square, Lantana Golf, Denton County Country Club, and Robeson Ranch. Thank you very much.
So what we did was we had these luncheons when we got together. Ron Johnson, wave your hand, Ron. Ron's doing the movies. He's the quiet, intelligent one there in that. And we would get together and say, what can we do to make a difference? So we came up with this idea. Now I'll let y'all talk about the luncheons, and I'll jump in. I'll talk about the luncheons a little bit.
Okay, so the lunches that John refers to was basically our brainstorming sessions, which is one of my favorite things to do, and we got to eat John. We kind of just threw around ideas on how we could help our community and help our entrepreneurs, and we decided that we might do something that was a 2-day event, bring in some panelists and some individuals throughout our community who already have that expertise, and allow them to teach our young ones and to help those individuals in our communities, at our universities, who have wonderful business ideas, bring those ideas to fruition. So I think that would happen.
We also looked at a way to touch our youth. That's a part of our community that we don't really get to touch to see if they have their own entrepreneurship ideas, which surprisingly they do. There are a lot of children that we have in Denton that have great ideas that would like to be in business. Some that are already working in business, and I'm happy to share that. In our session with the youth, we had a young man named Eric, and his family owns a local Mexican restaurant here. He is 17. He goes to Ryan High, and he's also part of the ATC, and he takes culinary courses there. So he was extremely interested. and ready to talk about taking over his family business. And having Eric there with the younger ones was, for me, beneficial to watch, because he kind of had a plan when you're in a room with 8 and 10-year-olds, seeing them see the lights go on from seeing Eric. And so it was really inspiring to be a part of that process and plant those small seeds. And that's where the books came in. We did a lot of raffling with them. We gave them books about entrepreneurship. Some really good ones. Has anyone ever read Who Moved My Cheese? Yes. We plant those seeds. We put a few other books about engineering and science and architecture, just so that our youth can start having those kind of ideas in mind, opposed to just only NFL or NBA. We want them to reach a little higher and further.
Good. Here tonight, Steve Hillier. There's Steve. Thank you, Steve, Steve got stacks of cards and went around for weeks passing out these little green cards. I want you, everybody that's got a green card, I want you to pull it out. We'll tell you what we did. And we have 2 of our participants in the seminar here tonight, and we're going to have them come up and get their certificate. So while I'm talking, we'll have Edgar Rangel come up and Tamara Hudson. The Business Entrepreneurs Weekend had 3 parts. Okay, a little card here. Everybody got your card? Let's wave it. I know you got it. Okay. One part was for training. One part was for youth, teenagers. And then the third part of the Business Entrepreneurs Weekend was the banquet. So let's give these 2 participants a round of applause for their participation. We started off our training with 2 fictional characters, Moesha and Letitia. And they had an idea to cook chitlins that don't stink. They came up with a scientific method of making chitlins that don't stink, and they were going to put those together with pizza and tacos. So it was Laisha and Letitia's international worldwide chain of chitlins, deodorized chitlins, tacos, and pizza restaurants. So we had fun laughing at their business idea. And to me, that idea is about as crazy as buying a $5 cup of coffee called Starbucks. Crazy ideas sometimes make it. Or somebody coming to pick me up in a car that doesn't have a cab sign that's called Uber. Can you imagine something like that could work? So our goal was to bring people together and get their ideas. Everybody get your hands. Everybody get your hands. Touch your head. Touch your head. You have all these ideas in your mind, and you have to get them out. Let's get them out. That's right. So the whole idea is to get all these wonderful ideas, no matter how crazy they are, out. So we did that, and then we talked about Traquan and Big Daddy, 2 young men who were broke all the time. And we learned a lot about budgeting. To me, that was one of the most fun classes. Wouldn't you say, William? It was really great. And then we ended up with credit repair. We had this one young lady, all fictional, called Mopra Spinfree. And Mopra was a cousin of Oprah Winfrey. And she got kicked out of the family because she borrowed money from the family and didn't pay it back. So they all kicked her out. So we're not giving you any more money. So she had 20 platinum credit cards and she maxed them all out. And so we talked about what happens when you get in trouble like that. So we really had a lot of fun. And I'll end on this point here. My employees, would my employees please stand for a minute, please? All my employees. I haven't been working like I should be too involved, and I just want to thank my employees for all of their covering and work and extra to make this event that we open to the whole community. And then this morning, we had a candid conversation with bankers about borrowing money. And we really had a really good time. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Gorey? We had a good time this morning. And before I sit down, I just need to mention three things, and then we'll go to the next section. Phil Williams is here from D&D. He's one of our wonderful sponsors. And Mr. Anthony Coleman is from NTTA. He stood up, but you didn't know what his name was. And lastly, I have two friends here. Robert and Vivica Stott. Would you stand up, please? Robert and Vivica are starting a Denton talk show. They're starting a Denton talk show. And they're looking for some guests to be on the show. So if you could catch them afterwards and talk about their new initiative, then perhaps we'll get to see you on TV. Thank you all for allowing us to make this presentation. God bless you. Thank you.
Can't believe I haven't taken my shoes off yet. Let's get it up. I'm feeling it though. I say that because we're about to close, and I was like, I still have these shoes on. But this has been a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, John, for just bringing us all here to the table. I wish I would have had some training before. We just kind of jumped in and started our business and made a bunch of phone calls, so it's great to see the young folks out there getting their trainings and being able to talk to banks and making sure they don't max out credit cards. I think that's great. Just the fact that you guys have the foresight to do something like that for the young folks is phenomenal. So I want to give it up to you guys. I also want to bring up for closing remarks, Carrie Gorey from State Farm Insurance. Rachel Hills, so hi there. Are you still here? Right here. Okay, I'm sorry. Come on up. I bonded with your wife about hair and makeup. She's too mom's hair. Oh, sorry.
I didn't have an award for it. I had. That's okay. Men figure too sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay, I'll see you in about 4 inches.
Debbie, I think I talked loud enough. Debbie, we appreciate you taking out of your most valuable time. I know most of you you've been around Denton sometime. You've seen Debbie on television, and with her big laugh. She really makes me laugh when nothing's even funny. Or she has that laugh. That's the art of doing laugh. You know, many of us don't laugh anymore. It's good to laugh sometimes when things are not going good. Try laughing. Right. It may help. So David, at this time we'd like to give you our Business Entrepreneur Weekend Award for March 2007 for Mrs. Ceremony, Ms. David Denton. Thank you. Bill, come on up here. Mr. Cunningham, he's quite a guy, you guys. He has a lot of knowledge. He's been here once before. Some of you all may not agree with the things he says, but you know, the numbers sometimes don't lie. We appreciate Bill. He's been great at the state level and at the national level for Chamber of Commerce. Bill, at this time, we'd like to present you with our Business Entrepreneur Weekend Award, Mr. William Cunningham, as our guest speaker. Thank you very much for all of you. Thank you. I did have an award for our president, but he drinks wine and a lot of beer. I don't know if he can make it back up. So I'm just going to leave my buddy alone. Next time I play golf, I know what to bring to win. Wine and beer. I'll be in that day. Thank you everyone for coming out. Mr. Mayor, you could have been in other places, but you chose to come visit us today. We appreciate it. We are happy to have Chris Watts, that's our mayor. He's a guy with his ears open and his eyes open, and always looking to help change the city for the better. And we appreciate him and the things he do. I had a conversation with him last week, and I want to recognize the NAACP. That organization is quite an organization. They're doing wonderful for us. They're doing wonderful for the city of Denton. Willie Hustle is the president of the NAACP. Willie Trees and be recognized. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. And his team, thank you for all you do, the NAACP. You know, people they don't need the NAACP until something happens. You know, then that's when they call on the NAACP. You know, there's always something happening. You have to understand that. You may not see it, it may not have come to the surface, but there's always something that happens. And you can better believe Willie Husband always has his eyes and ears open so he can voice his opinion for us, not just for himself. Thank all of you all for showing up, allowing us the opportunity to show out. And we appreciate that because we like to be seen. Showing out, Mr. Don Dale, our musician, and he did a wonderful job. Also showing out was the UNT very catering service. But it was excellent food. And again, our MC showing out just wonderful, Debbie. Thank you very much. And I can't speak enough for my good friend Charles O'Neill. Charles O'Neill has been dealing with the city Chambers of Commerce since I moved to Texas. I've known him. He started off with the oldest black chamber in America, the largest black chamber in America, which is the Dallas Black Chamber of America. Charles was over the marketing. Then Charles moved up the ranks to become the president of the Dallas Black Chamber of Commerce. Now Charles, as you know, is the president of the Texas Black Chamber of Commerce. Down in Austin, and Charles sometimes has to get his feet dirty, hands dirty, and he's like me, you lose a lot of hair trying to do the right things. Thank you, Charles. We appreciate all you do. As chairman of the board, I don't do much. I get up and talk and say thank you. That's one of the things we do. Right, Mr. Mayor, we have great teams around us to make us look good. And I'd like to recognize again the Banquet Committee for all they do. They do a lot. It doesn't seem like that a lot is done when things come together, but we appreciate the Banquet Committee. Immensely, we do. Now I'd like to thank a person that usually when I'm doing events like this, I'm saying, let's go. I need to be there. Let's hurry up. Can you get dressed 3 hours early? Can you start 4 hours early? Maybe because she has more hair than me, it takes so long to get there. But once she gets dressed and she walks out of the room and I see how beautiful she is, I understand. And that's why I've been married for 4 years. My wife, to my wife, but to all the wives of our board of directors. I want to thank you, wives. Stand, raise your hand. I want you to know who you all are. The wives of the board of directors. Miss Baines, Tracy Baines, Terrence Baker, where is she? Thank all of you all. I appreciate you letting us borrow your spouses to come and work for us, and help us out, take away from some of that valuable family time. I know sometimes it seems like that time is not bringing dollars in the home. Sometimes it seems like it's not worth what it does. But ladies, for all the work that these husbands do for our change, I want you to know that you are rich with having these men as your husband. And men, I don't have to tell you all, you are welcome, very welcome in having these wives that let us do what we enjoy doing. So ladies, thank you. Thank you very much. None of this can be done as a chamber without a board of directors. And at this time, I'd like to introduce, once they stand, the 2017 Board of Directors for the Denton Black Chamber of Commerce. Would you please stand so I can recognize you? All right. Mickey Hill, our president, Ron Johnson, our council, our secretary, John Blaine, our treasurer, Marty Baker, our go-getter man, and Mark Puss, our Detroit man, the Motor City man. Thank you guys for all of you. You know, I want to thank all of these people. As I look across the room, I see the faces, all you all in here. Some of you I see in the face, I'm here by default here. You know, I pulled the straw, you know, the last straw, and the boss said I had to go here, you had to go there. But we're glad you came here. You make a difference. You really do. We appreciate you coming here. But also I see faces of those of you who understand our challenge, what we do. As the Chamber of Commerce, our challenge is to continue to be an advocate for WMDEs, women and minority business enterprises, so we can help Denton become the city that William Cunningham said that we are. But also I see on the faces of some of you all who ask it, how can we do this? What can we do? Come join us, work with us, and we'll try to help to find the way, the how for you and your organization, because each organization, how and way is different. We all, at some point, has to answer that question when it comes to, even though my organization was healthy, we made a lot of money, even though my organization, we had minorities, even though. How are you going to answer that question, even though? Your organization, you're going to be remembered at some point. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as, we didn't do that bad? Or do you want to be remembered as, you didn't do that good? You're going to be remembered one way or the other. Let me say, when we speak of the words diversity, inclusion, minority, let's not say those words in silence. Let's not say those words in smoke rooms, back doors, closets. When we speak of diversity, let's do like a guy said, I heard it. He said, I went to a mountain town and I saw little black kids, little white kids. We all need to be able to say, we went there. And then we'll be able to answer that, even though. We must all agree that the proof in the pudding is going to be how the youth are going to turn out. What we do is going to show with our youth. To the youth, it's time to get down. And I don't mean today's. It's time to get your heads on straight. It's time to decide where you're going to go. Because one day, you're going to make the statement, I didn't realize getting older was going to take so soon. Before you know it, you will be older. Let us all come together and remember Denton is here for all of us. Denton is here so we as a town can be the kind of town that other individuals want to come to Denton and live and raise their families and raise their children. I'm going to leave with a statement. I heard a man say, if you see the world at 50 the way you did at 20, you're a man who wasted 30 years of your life. Wow. Let's try not to waste our lives. We appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate your partnership, and thank you for coming out. Do not text on the way home.